Welcome to the third part of Chapter 1 of the Global Logistics full course. As mentioned in the introductory video, this full course will equip you with the necessary concepts you need to boost your logistics knowledge. In the previous videos, we started the first chapter of our full course, which is Logistics and Supply Chain Context. We have seen particularly the evolution of the concepts of logistics and supply chain management, as well as the globalization and international trade. In the previous sections, we discussed the critical role of contemporary global supply chains, and we gave insights on the areas that have been closely associated with the evolution and growth of logistics and supply chain management, such as the growth of international trade and globalization. In this part, we're going to discuss the importance of relationships across the global supply chains and also give insights into how to build, maintain, and enhance such relationships. In today's world of international trade and global competition, where supply chains are increasingly competing rather than individual companies and goods, successful suppliers-customer partnerships have become differentiators of high-performance supply chains. So in this part, we'll learn about key research and practice concepts to understand how this critical field is evolving. This part comprises some core sections. So we're going to study outsourcing, offshoring, and to see the difference between outsourcing and offshoring. We're going to talk about outsources evaluation and selection, outsourcer and outsourcee relationship development, and supply chain integration principles and methods. So let's get started. In this video, we will focus on the first topic, which is outsourcing. Outsourcing can be defined as the transfer to a third party of the management and delivery of a process previously performed by the company itself. There are many forms or types of outsourcing. The first one is service outsourcing, which refers to companies hiring outside businesses to provide specialized work or expertise. The second type is procurement outsourcing. It is crucial that purchasing staff ensure that the company is actually receiving the best value, service, and products possible from every supplier in order to satisfy clients' current demands and future requirements. Another type of outsourcing is offshore outsourcing. It can be contrasted with offshoring, in which the functions are performed in a foreign country by a foreign subsidiary. There are actually four basic types of offshore outsourcing. We have information technology outsourcing, business process outsourcing, offshore software development, and knowledge process outsourcing. The BPO is considered the most popular, especially when considering that most companies outsource business processes to offshore locations, such as India, for example. It is important that organizations figure out what type of outsourcing works best and what a firm requires from the process. We have as well legal process outsourcing, or abbreviated as LPO. So, the practice of a law firm or corporation obtaining legal support services from an outside law firm or legal support service company. When the outsourced entity is based in another country, the practice is called offshoring. The history of outsourcing goes back a lot further than you may think. Ever since people have been performing tasks for employers, some duties have been performed offsite. When a staff member didn't have the necessary expertise to perform a certain type of work, the task was delegated to someone else who did. Over time, this practice of outsourcing led to people being trained in specific specialized professions. If we fast backwards to business practices in the 19th and early 20th century, companies didn't use outsourcing as a business practice. Many manufacturers actually would take a product from the raw material stage through the production portion without seeking an outside assistance. When the goods were ready to be shipped, they used their own resources to make sure that the products were delivered to company-owned stores, ready to be bought by consumers. Companies hired the expertise they needed to work in-house, including legal, insurance, and accounting professionals. If the company had the resources, the organization also employed workers to design and construct company factories and warehouses. The Industrial Revolution changed the way companies did business. During this period, company owners started to outsource some services as opposed to keeping them in-house. Independent architecture, engineering, and insurance companies started opening their doors to serve multiple clients. More often, they were located in the same city as the companies they were performing services for. Over time, manufacturing companies discovered that they could outsource the production of consumer goods such as clothing items and shoes. By the 1970s, many consumer electronics products were manufactured overseas. Companies looked to workers in foreign countries to work in factories due to lower labor costs. Once company owners were confident they could outsource manufacturing functions and shipping costs to get the good to market decreased, more of them decided to outsource this. Now, the outsourcing of many business functions is quite common. Call center companies are kept busy from a steady stream of clients looking to outsource these duties. When a customer calls an insurance company's number with a question or concern, he or she will likely be speaking with someone who is working for a separate company, even though that person has been trained to handle customer service duties. Not all outsourcing involves foreign workers. Many people work as independent contractors, providing services to businesses of all sizes. Often firms agree to outsource such operations to other businesses, usually referred to as third parties for various purposes. Some companies outsource the service for cost purposes because the outsourcing provider might be in a position to deliver the service more cheaply than the outsourcing company itself would offer. Increased flexibility is another purpose to outsource because the outsourcing provider could be ready able to offer more or less of the service as requested by the outsourcing firm, thus saving it from having to commit its own resources. A third reason frequently given for outsourcing is more of a strategic one, whereby a company chooses to focus on its areas of expertise, that is, the tasks it is strong at or has advantage in, and outsource actually all other options and operations. Finally, given the rapid advances everywhere in technology, companies may no longer always necessarily have the most up-to-date technology available to them, and they will outsource to partners who do have such technology. Obviously, these four reasons are not mutually exclusive, and a company may decide to outsource for any combination of the four reasons. There are a variety of issues to address in outsourcing. First, how to select an outsourcing partner, and then how to handle the chosen partner effectively. In order to effectively manage the outsourcing arrangements, companies generally put in place a service level agreement, or abbreviated as an SLA, and performance metrics. An SLA is a key part of a contractual agreement between a customer and a supplier to identify the performance or service levels expected. This is legally binding contract. Potential suppliers will have to first qualify by meeting those criteria or performance expectations defined in the SLA before they are given proper consideration. The requirements are referred as order qualifiers, while the criteria that allow the supplier to actually be selected are referred as order winners. The question now is, what a company can gain from outsourcing part of its activities to another entity. Outsourcing can have many advantages and benefits, as the continuous monitoring of suppliers and the management of the relationship between buyer and supplier are also critical. Often the partnership may extend to the development of suppliers, where improvement attempts are made in the interest of both parties, leading, for example, to suppliers delivering new and improved products and solutions. Sharing is another benefit, actually. Many studies have shown that good supplier relationship management leads to better results and added benefits, especially when it is over an extended period of time. Last but not least, such collaborative partnerships help in improving quality, product development, and logistics efficiency as both parties are able to share information and forecasts, sales, supply requirements, production schedules, and problem alerts in advance. Later chapters of our course will return to these issues of the selection of logistics service providers and procurement as well. Another important issue for any organization to consider is exactly which activities to outsource and which activities to do itself. This is called the classic do versus buy decision. Some organizations, especially many in the e-business sector, outsourcing almost everything. These organizations are sometimes referred to as virtual organizations. The way suppliers are organized has also changed over the past 10 or more years. In the past, a lot of businesses, particularly in the manufacturing industry, has several suppliers. In fact, it was common for some huge international corporations to have thousands of suppliers, and some businesses still do. Obviously, managing so many suppliers can present its own challenges. It can also be difficult to take advantage of additional benefits from a large number of suppliers, such as, for example, sharing research and development and new product development. The grouping of suppliers into tiers has been a response to much of this. So, if you think of a pyramid, the manufacturer or client organization is the top tier. The so-called first tier suppliers come next, followed by the second tier suppliers, and so on. The top tier company, often known as the manufacturer or ultimate client organization, is referred to as an original equipment manufacturer. These original equipment manufacturers are the ones who manufacture the final product carrying their brand. In certain cases, such original equipment manufacturers make little, or for instance, they might only assemble like the numerous given components or like little or no physical modifications to the product, with the majority of the manufacturing being handled by the first and lowest tier suppliers. Let's now explore more of outsourcing, but more specifically in logistics. According to research on several manufacturing organizations, the following factors account for the majority of outsourcing logistics services. We have process simplification, and a reliable partner can simplify the complicated logistics processes actually. Order processing, inventory management, warehousing, shipping, and logistics packaging are all now responsibilities that can be outsourced to an efficient company. Reduced freight costs, it's another reason. The best service providers in the sector can get the best freight costs due to their strong networking abilities. They prioritize matching a company's freight with those of other shippers heading to the same location or continent, for example. The second step they do is to think of ways to consolidate loads, for example. Improved customer service, it's another reason, and since drivers demand high wages, it can be difficult for logistics companies to provide constant and predictable transportation, which is ensured by external agencies. The best shipping partners are attracted to stable services, and they will frequently be convinced by agencies with years of expertise that a small logistics company is attempting to deal with them. Another reason can be getting in-house benefits. So, using an external provider allows you to maintain better perspective, control, and attention to your primary company. Knowing a third party's perspective on the difficulties, opportunities, risks, and strengths enables logistics services to predict the future and make more informed decisions. Best practices would be introduced within the organization thanks to real-time visibility and sophisticated reporting capabilities. Everything becomes more efficient, resulting in higher resource utilization, lower operational costs, and reduced business risks. All right. It is important to note that just because outsourcing can at times be the right thing to do, it does not always follow that all outsourcing arrangements always run smoothly. In fact, the opposite can often be the case. Late delivery is one of the most frequent reasons for outsourcing contracts to fail, which makes it difficult for outsourcers to satisfy their own customers' expectations. Delivery on time is typically seen as an order-winning element when evaluating potential outsourcees, and failing to provide this service can have major relationship consequences. This can also result in outsourcees paying additional costs in the manufacturing sector, such as adopting more expensive, faster ways of transportation to compensate for late deliveries. Confidentiality is a serious issue relating to intellectual property rights and confidential information being passed over to competitors. Another reason to fail for outsourcing is the need for excessive checks by outsourcers that may result from general reliability issues, which may create mistrust between the two parties. The outsourcee is expected to meet expectations about quality, delivery, pricing, and service. Consistency of quality with regard to products or services delivered by the outsourcee is one of the problems frequently faced by outsourcers. This relates to the outsourcee delivering high quality at the start of the operation, but not maintaining it over time. This leads to rejects and returns by the outsourcers and in additional costs for the outsourcees. And this also leads to poor customer service levels for both outsourcer and outsourcee. In view of the issues that commonly lead to the failure of outsourcing, it is important to evaluate potential outsourcees before selection and agreement. In addition, a good outsourcing and outsourcee relationship development strategy can help to overcome a number of factors causing failure in outsourcing, and we are going actually to consider these in a later section of our course. Alright, the next part will be on offshoring, and we will see the difference between outsourcing and offshoring. So stay tuned and make sure to subscribe to get notified when the next part is released.